Colombia 2, 2025. Movie Zoe Saldana, Jason Statham.
That's all there is.
Every checklist, every gauge, every action. Predictable. Safe. Mark it.
7 Delta marked. Moving to 7 Echo.
What was that?
Operator, what is your status? Stick to the sweep pattern. Operator 1, your battery is critical. Return to base. Acknowledge.
Command, I have an audio anomaly. Possible survivor.
Negative, Operator.
We have no ground teams for extraction. Your mission is asset assessment. Return to base. That is an order.
Do not deviate from the mission parameters. Ignore the civilian presence and proceed to the target extraction point. We cannot afford any risk.
Cut the...
I see you. Hold on, I'm almost there.
Overwatch 1, unauthorized transmission. I have a confirmed lone survivor. We're 10 clicks out, Overwatch. We can't. Coordinates are 40.7128 north, 74.060 west. Under a bank sign. I'm dropping from there.
How can I
stop hiding from them. Guilt isn't.
Driver, steady pace. Keep us moving. Objective Rhino is on schedule. Command, this is Beast. Radio check. Confirming our approach vector. Over. Sergeant, anything? Comms are dead. Interference. Probably the terrain. Saw us, right? Watch it. Sergeant, we are one click out. Continue push to objective Rhino.
The plan is the plan. You do not stop. You never stop.
But the plan is for soldiers, not ghosts.
Sergeant, order.
Sergeant, what are we doing?
They say you never hear the one that gets you. Go. Cooper, keep your feet. Good. I'm good.
In training, they teach you control. Controlled breaths. Controlled bursts. Out here, there is no control. Only forward.
We can't make it, Sarge.
Status, sound off now.
We're wrong.
I'm okay.
There! Suppressing fire! Move! Now!
What was that sound?
Probably just a monkey. Right, Sergeant? Monkeys don't trip wires. Stay sharp. Eyes open.
Protocol sundown initiated. Asset extraction is now void. All units designated expendable. All patrols are ordered to initiate protocol sundown.
You are abandoned.
Patience is a virtue. I find it's a weapon. The best things require a slow hand.
Every detail must be perfect.
No room for error. Not now. She understands. She has to.
Please! Just tell me why.
Because some things must be balanced. The world has been unbalanced for far too long.
Don't leave me here! Wait!
Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Seven years have passed since Cataleya disappeared from the violent underworld that shaped her life. She now lives quietly in Lisbon, Portugal, using a new name and working as a diving instructor. Every morning she walks along the calm coastline, pretending she has finally escaped her past. But the truth is, Cataleya's instincts never sleep. One night, while returning home through a narrow street, she notices a black SUV parked across from her apartment. Two men sit inside, not talking, not moving, just watching. Cataleya's heartbeat slows, not out of fear, but out of calculation. She walks casually into her building, but instead of going to her floor, she hides behind the staircase. Through the reflection on the glass door, she watches one man step out and approach her entrance. Cataleya whispers to herself, so it begins again. The piece she built is clearly over. The next morning, Cataleya meets Leon Vargas, her old intelligence ally. Leon is older now, tired, and living off the grid. When he sees Cataleya standing in his doorway, he instantly knows trouble has returned. He invites her in and listens as she describes the SUV and the surveillance. Leon reveals that a dangerous new criminal network called the Black Orchid Cartel has risen in Europe. Their leader, Valeria Cortez, believes Cataleya stole a microdrive containing names of corrupt officials, diplomats, and arms dealers. Cataleya is confused, she has never touched such information. Leon warns her that the cartel is ruthless and has influence inside law enforcement. If they've found you, Leon says seriously, they won't stop. But Cataleya refuses to run again. She promises Leon she will find the truth behind the microdrive accusation and destroy anyone who comes after her. That night, Cataleya prepares her apartment like a battlefield. She turns off every light, positions reflective surfaces, opens windows slightly to hear movement, and loads her weapons. Around midnight, 3 armed cartel agents break in. They move silently, believing they are catching her by surprise. But Cataleya is already behind them. She strikes the first intruder with a diving spear, the second she eliminates with a silent chokehold, and the third she corners near the hallway. At knife point, she interrogates him. The terrified man reveals that Valeria Cortez wants Cataleya alive because she believes Cataleya has the microdrive. Cataleya knows she is being framed or someone wants her blamed. She takes the man's phone, checks recent calls, and sees a contact labeled Orchid Handler. She wipes her prints, sets her apartment ablaze to destroy evidence, and walks away as flames fill the night. Cataleya relocates to an abandoned lighthouse outside Lisbon, one of her emergency safe points. She studies the captured phone, finding encrypted messages that the cartel uses for coordination. One message contains a meeting address in Barcelona. Cataleya understands she has no choice now, she must go deeper into danger to reach the truth. She packs only essential weapons, forged documents, and minimal gear. Heavy rain hits the coast as she leaves the lighthouse, symbolizing the start of another long war. The next morning she travels to Barcelona, blending into crowds and moving quietly between shadows. Her target is a nightclub called La Flor Oscura, secretly owned by the cartel. Inside, neon lights flash, music shakes the walls, and enforcers patrol the edges of the room. Cataleya watches everything with calm precision. Inside the nightclub, Cataleya spots the handler from the phone's contact photo. He exits through a back door, and Cataleya follows silently. The handler senses he is being tailed and begins running through narrow alleyways. Cataleya chases him across crowded streets, market stalls, and over rooftops with impressive agility. She finally tackles him near an abandoned warehouse. At gunpoint, the handler reveals the first major truth. Valeria Cortez believes the microdrive contains files that could destroy her empire. Someone leaked Cataleya's old alias to the cartel, making them think she is the thief. Cataleya realizes this is not random, this is a setup by someone from her past. She knocks out the handler, steals his encrypted keycard, and disappears into Barcelona's night. Her next step is clear: dismantle the cartel's layers until she reaches Valeria Cortez. Cataleya rents a small apartment overlooking Barcelona's Gothic district. She spreads maps across the table and marks all cartel routes. According to the handler, Valeria Cortez's forces move cash, weapons, and coded messages through several hidden checkpoints. Cataleya realizes the cartel structure is like a spider web, interconnected, dangerous, and protected by people in powerful positions. To get to Valeria, she must break the web one strand at a time. She plans her first strike against a money laundering hub disguised as an import-export warehouse. Cataleya changes into dark tactical clothing, straps her knives, silenced pistol, and zip cords. Before leaving, she glances at the city lights and whispers, "You wanted me, now I'm coming." She jumps across rooftops, moving gracefully, preparing for her first major attack on the cartel. At midnight, Cataleya reaches the warehouse near Port Vel. Trucks enter and exit, guarded by cartel soldiers. She observes silently from above, identifying patterns in guard rotations and delivery routines. Using a small drone she modified herself, she scans the building for heat signatures, marking where cash counters operate. Once she has mapped the entire layout, she moves in. Cataleya silently sneaks behind two guards, performing quick takedowns. Inside the warehouse, she disrupts power circuits, creating a blackout. Using night vision lenses, she navigates through the darkness like a predator. She plants explosive charges near the counting machines and cash stacks. As alarms begin to trigger, she slips out unnoticed. Moments later, the entire warehouse erupts in flames, destroying millions of cartel funds and sending shockwaves through Valeria's empire. News spreads across Barcelona about the mysterious warehouse explosion. While the cartel panics, Cataleya continues studying the encrypted keycard she stole from the handler. It leads her to a secret communication center located beneath an abandoned metro station. She infiltrates the station through maintenance tunnels and finds a hidden door secured with biometric locks. Cataleya uses the handler's severed fingerprint glove to bypass security. Inside the communication hub, several technicians work on decrypting global messages. Cataleya eliminates them silently and downloads a copy of the cartel's communication logs. One file stands out: an unknown sender repeatedly contacted Valeria with instructions to target Cataleya. The sender's codename, Mantis. Cataleya realizes that this person is the mastermind responsible for framing her. She leaves the station just as backup forces start closing in. Cataleya now knows she is fighting two enemies, Valeria Cortez and the mysterious Mantis. She decides to cripple the cartel's weapons pipeline next. She ambushes an armored convoy transporting assault rifles through the outskirts of Barcelona. Using remote explosives, she disables the lead truck and takes down the guards with extreme precision. Cataleya retrieves a shipment manifesto that lists all weapons storage units operated by the cartel. She burns the manifesto after memorizing every location. Meanwhile, Valeria Cortez is shown watching footage of the destroyed warehouse and intercepted communications. Furious, she orders her elite unit, the Shadow Guard, to find Cataleya and kill anyone who helps her. Cataleya hides inside a small safe house while analyzing the communication logs she stole. The messages from Mantis reveal deep knowledge about Cataleya's past missions and training, details only someone close to her would know. She starts suspecting that the person framing her might be a former associate or someone from her childhood in Colombia. Determined to get answers, Cataleya hacks into the cartel's satellite link and tracks Valeria's last known position. The data points to a heavily fortified mansion on the edge of the Pyrenees Mountains. Cataleya loads her weapons, prepares climbing gear, and sets off toward the mountains. She knows the path ahead will be deadly, but she also knows stopping now is not an option. The hunt has officially begun. Cataleya travels toward the Pyrenees Mountains using backroads and hiking trails to avoid detection. The air grows colder, and the roads become more isolated. She studies the schematics of Valeria Cortez's mountain mansion, reinforced steel gates, thermal scanners, rooftop snipers, and underground tunnels. It is a fortress designed for warlords and millionaires. Cataleya sets up a surveillance point on a cliff overlooking the mansion. Through binoculars, she notices unusual behavior, armored vehicles entering the compound every hour, and guards doubling their patrol speed. Valeria is clearly preparing for something big. Cataleya assembles a custom rifle, adjusts her scope, and begins marking guard positions. She knows a direct attack is suicide. She needs another way inside, one that no one expects. Her eyes focus on a hidden storm drain at the back of the property. That will be her entry point. In the dead of night, Cataleya approaches the storm drain. Water rushes through the tunnel, but she moves against the flow with practiced strength. Using climbing spikes and a waterproof lamp, she follows the tunnel upward until she reaches a metal grate. She listens, two guards are casually talking above. Cataleya waits patiently for the perfect moment. When one guard walks away to smoke, she silently pushes the grate, climbs up, and eliminates the remaining guard with a quick, quiet strike. Inside the mansion grounds, she moves between walls and shadows, avoiding cameras and patrols. She hides behind a marble statue when two Shadow Guard members pass by, heavily armed and wearing advanced body armor. Cataleya realizes Valeria hired military-level operatives. This mission will be far more dangerous than she expected. Cataleya infiltrates the mansion through a side balcony. The interior is extravagant, golden walls, crystal lights, and expensive art pieces from around the world. But beneath the luxury lies something sinister. She hears faint voices coming from a security room. Cataleya crawls across the ceiling beams and peers down. Several guards are monitoring surveillance feeds from all over Europe. She spots a live transmission showing her face on a bounty announcement. Valeria has placed a global alert across criminal networks. Cataleya must be captured alive. Cataleya takes down the guards silently and hacks into the computer system. She downloads files about cartel operations, safehouse coordinates, and encrypted conversations between Valeria and the mysterious Mantis. One message freezes her: the girl will be erased soon. Cataleya knows they are planning something catastrophic. As Cataleya searches the mansion, she suddenly hears heavy footsteps approaching. She hides behind a pillar as three Shadow Guard operatives sweep the hallway. Their movements are coordinated and precise, ex-military assassins trained for close combat. Once they pass, Cataleya enters a restricted wing of the mansion. Inside, she discovers a hidden command center filled with screens showing dozens of faces, politicians, agents, and criminals. At the top of the board is a name, Valeria Cortez. Below her is another name, Mantis. But the most shocking detail is a photo pinned under Mantis. It is blurred, but Cataleya recognizes the outline. It resembles someone she once trained with in Colombia. Rage fills her. She thought that part of her life was gone forever, but now it has returned in the worst way. Suddenly, a silent alarm triggers. Red lights flash in the mansion as guards rush toward her location. Cataleya sprints through corridors, leaping over furniture and sliding across marble floors. She dives out a window as bullets follow her, shattering glass around her. Outside, she rolls down a slope and disappears into the forest. The entire mountain echoes with alarms and shouting. Valeria's security forces swarm the area, searching for her. Cataleya hides beneath tree roots, controlling her breath as guards pass inches away. When the forest clears, she climbs back up the cliffs to her surveillance point. She reviews the data she stole. The cartel is planning an international operation involving high-profile targets. And the mastermind, Mantis, knows everything about her past. Cataleya realizes she must confront her history to survive her future. Cataleya studies the encrypted files she stole from Valeria's mountain mansion while hiding inside an abandoned hunter's cabin deep in the Pyrenees forest. The files reveal multiple planned assassinations across Europe, all scheduled within the next 10 days. Each target is a key political figure connected to anti-trafficking policies. The Black Orchid cartel wants to eliminate anyone standing in their path. Cataleya zooms into one file showing a future attack planned in the city of Lyon. She recognizes the tactical structure. This operation style belongs only to one person, Raúl Mendez, a former Colombian assassin who trained alongside Cataleya in her early years. He was presumed dead long ago. But now, he appears to be alive under a new name. Mantis. Cataleya feels a sudden wave of betrayal. Someone she trusted as family is now orchestrating a global crisis from the shadows. Determined to stop Mantis, Cataleya travels from the mountains to Lyon using a stolen supply truck. The city is decorated for a national ceremony that will take place in 2 days. One of the event's key speakers is on the cartel's target list. Cataleya blends into the crowded streets and begins scouting potential sniper points. She examines rooftops, bridge angles, and abandoned construction sites that offer long-range visibility. The cartel's attack will not be messy, it will be precise, coordinated, and untraceable. Cataleya infiltrates a government building disguised as a maintenance worker. Inside, she accesses the security archives to find the event's layout. She marks every weak point. Using the files she stole, she predicts exactly where Raúl, now Mantis, will position his sniper. Her mission is clear: stop the assassination and confront the man who betrayed her past. 2 nights before the ceremony, Cataleya sets up surveillance across the rooftops. She watches the city quietly as the wind blows against her jacket. The target location is heavily guarded, but Cataleya knows Mantis will infiltrate through an unnoticed path. Around midnight, she spots a figure scaling a distant rooftop with incredible agility. Even from afar, she recognizes the movements. It is Raúl. A flood of emotions hits her: pain, anger, disbelief. She follows him across rooftops, staying hidden in shadows. Raúl sets up his sniper rifle and begins calibrating wind, altitude, and timing. Cataleya sneaks behind him, her knife ready. But at the last moment, he turns around and points his gun at her. He smirks and says, "I knew you'd find me, Pequena Sombra." Cataleya is stunned. He had anticipated her every step. Raúl and Cataleya hold each other at gunpoint atop the cold rooftop. Raúl speaks calmly, almost proudly, explaining how he faked his death years ago to join a secret network of assassins. They promised him power, protection, and revenge against corrupt governments. Cataleya realizes Raúl allowed the cartel to frame her so she would surface. He wanted her to witness the new empire he was building. Raúl steps closer and whispers, "You and I were always meant to rule the shadows together." Cataleya refuses his offer and lowers her stance to fight. Raúl laughs, calling her predictable. Suddenly, he drops a smoke grenade and disappears into the night, leaving his sniper rifle behind. Cataleya retrieves the rifle and discovers it contains coordinates for more assassination missions. She knows she has only hours left to stop the first attack. On the day of the ceremony in Lyon, Cataleya positions herself strategically above the main street, using Raúl's sniper scope to scan for the cartel teams. She spots multiple disguised operatives hidden among the crowd. They are setting up synchronized strikes, not just one assassination. 3 attacks are planned at different entry points. Cataleya radios a fake warning to local police, manipulating them to tighten security around the main stage. She then takes out 2 cartel spotters from the rooftop using silent shots. Panic begins spreading among the operatives as they lose communication. Cataleya rushes down the building, engaging in hand-to-hand combat with armed cartel members in narrow corridors. She intercepts their encrypted transmission and reroutes it to misguide Raul. By the end of the ceremony, Cataleya successfully prevents the attack, but she knows this is only the beginning. Raul will strike again, and next time, the target will be far more devastating. After preventing the Lyon attack, Cataleya takes shelter in an abandoned tram station to examine Raul's sniper files more deeply. The encrypted data reveals the next key target, a high-security meeting in Geneva involving international intelligence leaders. Raul plans to eliminate multiple global security chiefs at once, plunging several countries into internal chaos. Cataleya studies the coordinates and realizes the attack will be executed by a 5-man elite squad operating inside Geneva's diplomatic zone. She knows Raul's strategies. He always creates a distraction before executing the real objective. Cataleya boards a freight train heading toward Switzerland, using the dark cargo containers to stay hidden. During the journey, she sharpens her knives, modifies her pistol, and memorizes guard patterns she expects to encounter. She whispers to herself, "If I don't stop him now, the world will drown in war." Upon arriving in Geneva, Cataleya rents a small room overlooking the diplomatic district. She uses a signal jamming antenna to intercept cartel communications. Soon, she picks up encrypted chatter. Raul's elite squad has already entered the city disguised as maintenance workers. Cataleya infiltrates the diplomatic headquarters by posing as a cleaning contractor. Her forged ID scans successfully thanks to a custom RFID chip she embedded earlier. Inside the building, Cataleya discreetly studies entry and exit routes. She notices several suspicious men placing inspection tags on ventilation shafts, classic setup for gas dispersion or remote detonation bombs. Cataleya instantly recognizes Raul's tactic: use panic to flush the VIPs into one corridor, where the real assassination team waits. She knows she has less than 2 hours to dismantle the plan before diplomats arrive. Cataleya moves stealthily through the building's mechanical floors. She disables ventilation fans, reroutes alarm systems, and sabotages the wiring that the cartel team plans to use. When she reaches one of the main shafts, she discovers a bomb attached to a pressure sensor. She carefully disarms it, removes the detonator, and replaces it with a tracking device. Through this tracker, she follows the bomb technician back to a concealed operations room in a nearby building. Inside the room, she finds blueprints, explosives, communication headsets, and a holographic display showing the VIP meeting layout. Before Cataleya can gather more information, 2 cartel operatives return unexpectedly. A brutal hand-to-hand fight erupts. Cataleya uses her agility and precision to knock both out, then destroys all their equipment. Time is running out. With only 30 minutes left before the VIP meeting, Cataleya races toward the primary attack point. The cartel plans to ambush the diplomats inside a glass-enclosed bridge that connects 2 government buildings. The bridge is heavily secured, but the attackers have disguised themselves as emergency technicians. Cataleya climbs onto the roof of the bridge using a grappling hook. She silently eliminates 2 rooftop snipers positioned above the glass walkway. From the roof, she sees the lead assassin walking toward the diplomats with a concealed submachine gun hidden in a toolbox. Cataleya shoots the toolbox, causing the weapon to jam. The assassin panics and tries to retreat, but Cataleya crashes through a ceiling panel and engages him in a fierce fight on the bridge floor. She disarms him and throws him through a security glass panel. As chaos breaks out inside the glass bridge, Cataleya quickly locks the structure's emergency blast shutters, preventing the remaining cartel operatives from entering. She grabs one of the communication headsets dropped by the fallen assassin. Through the channel, she hears Raul's calm, cold voice. "You're getting predictable, Cataleya." She responds with steady anger. "I'll always be one step ahead of you." Raul laughs softly and replies, "Good. The game is just beginning." Cataleya destroys the headset and escapes through a damaged ventilation duct before security forces can arrive. Geneva officials believe a terror attack was narrowly avoided, but they have no idea who prevented it. Cataleya now understands that Roel is not simply executing missions, he is testing her, pushing her into a deadly chess match across Europe. Cataleya leaves Geneva immediately after stopping the assassination attempt. She travels to Milan, following a clue she found in Roel's encrypted files. One address repeatedly appears, an abandoned opera theatre known as Teatro L'Ombra, now secretly used for underground auctions and intelligence exchanges. Cataleya enters the city disguised as a tourist and moves through crowded marketplaces to avoid surveillance. She rents a room above a small bakery, giving her a clear view of the opera's entrance. For hours she observes suspicious figures going in and out, arms dealers, diplomats, corrupt business leaders. When night falls, Cataleya changes into a sleek black outfit that allows flexible movement. She attaches microblade clips to her boots, loads her pistol with subsonic rounds, and silently approaches the opera building. Tonight, she knows Roel's network is meeting inside. She has no intention of waiting. Inside the opera theatre, masked bidders sit in the audience seats while a woman on stage presents secret intelligence packages to the highest bidder. The air feels tense, filled with greed and danger. Cataleya crawls along the balcony rafters, moving unseen above the crowd. She spots a familiar face, a former CIA analyst who had vanished months earlier. He is bidding on an encrypted drive that supposedly contains diplomatic travel routes. But Cataleya is more interested in the man sitting at the center, a cartel lieutenant known as the Whisper. The Whisper is Roel's main strategist. Cataleya knows capturing him could reveal Mantis's location. When the bidding intensifies, Cataleya cuts the power. The theater plunges into darkness. Screams echo everywhere. In the confusion, she drops from the rafters and tackles the Whisper, forcing him into a backstage corridor. Cataleya drags the Whisper into a storage room and slams him against a wall. She demands information about Roel's whereabouts. The Whisper smirks and says, "You're chasing a ghost. He's always ahead of you." Cataleya presses her knife closer to his throat until he stutters out a location, Monaco. Roel is hiding in Monaco under the protection of Valeria Cortez. The Whisper also reveals a terrifying truth: Roel and Valeria plan to detonate a biochemical device during an international summit happening in 4 days. Thousands will die. Cataleya's heart pounds with fury, but before she can extract more details, cartel reinforcements storm the backstage hallway. Cataleya knocks the Whisper unconscious, ties him with stage cables, and escapes through an overhead ventilation shaft just as bullets shred the room below. Cataleya escapes onto the opera's rooftop and sprints across terracotta tiles as cartel gunmen chase in every direction. She leaps across to another building, slides down a glass canopy, and disappears into the narrow alleys of Milan. After securing a safe location, she opens the stolen bidding drive. Inside, she finds encrypted codes linking Valeria Cortez to a corrupt pharmaceutical executive in Monaco. These codes describe the ingredients needed to create a nerve agent, fast-acting, invisible, deadly. Cataleya realizes the cartel plans to weaponize this chemical at the summit. She wipes the drive clean and crushes it with her heel. There is no time to rest. She must reach Monaco before Roel unleashes disaster. Cataleya arrives in Monaco under heavy rain, blending with tourists near the casinos and luxury hotels. She studies the summit venue, a massive glass dome surrounded by elite security forces. She knows Roel will not strike from inside, he prefers distance, precision, and chaos. Cataleya surveys rooftops, drainage tunnels, and balconies until she spots a suspicious boat anchored too close to the shoreline. Its deck is covered with tarps hiding large containers. This could be the chemical device. Cataleya sneaks onto the dock and witnesses cartel operatives transferring a sealed metal cylinder onto the boat. She needs to identify where they will take it. Using a tracker disguised as a coin, she slips it into a crate. The moment the boat leaves the harbor, Cataleya starts moving. She is running out of time and Roel knows it. The tracked boat carrying the chemical device moves along Monaco's coastline under moonlight. Cataleya follows it from the rooftops, leaping across buildings and using narrow alleys for cover. The boat docks behind an abandoned luxury villa that once belonged to a billionaire now in hiding. Cataleya sneaks into the property through a broken garden wall. Inside the villa grounds, she sees cartel operatives unloading the metal cylinder and carrying it into an underground bunker. Cataleya scans the perimeter and notices heavy radiation shields and biohazard gear, proof that the device is extremely dangerous. She records everything using a microcamera for evidence. Suddenly, she spots a familiar silhouette entering the bunker. It's Raoul. His confident stride, calm demeanor, and tactical gestures confirm he is in full control. Cataleya tightens her grip on her knife. She is only steps away from confronting him, but now is not the right moment. She needs the exact detonation plan first. Cataleya sneaks inside the villa through a shattered window. Moving quietly through dusty hallways, she descends into the underground bunker through a maintenance shaft. Below, she overhears Raoul briefing Valeria Cortez and her elite operatives. He explains that the summit venue will be filled with world leaders in less than 48 hours. The biochemical device will disperse through the ventilation system of the dome, creating an invisible toxic cloud. Raoul adds that the chaos will weaken global counter-terror units, allowing the cartel to rise as the new power in Europe. Valeria praises Raoul, calling him the cartel's greatest asset. Cataleya listens, rage building inside her. She realizes Raoul has turned into a monster driven by power and vengeance. She records the entire conversation on her microcamera before slipping away silently, determined to sabotage the device. Cataleya finds the chemical device secured behind biometric locks in a sealed chamber. The chamber's glass walls display warning signs in multiple languages, indicating severe toxicity. Using her knowledge of Raoul's tactics, she identifies the weakest access point, a ventilation duct running beneath the chamber. Cataleya enters the duct and crawls carefully, avoiding the laser sensors. Once she reaches the device's underside, she plants a disabling charge that will render it inert when activated. But she doesn't detonate it yet. She wants Raoul to see his plan fall apart with his own eyes. As she prepares to leave, she hears footsteps approaching. She hides as two engineers inspect the chamber. One of them mentions that Raoul will personally transport the device to the summit location tonight. Cataleya realizes she must act faster than planned. Night falls over Monaco, and Raoul begins moving the biochemical device toward the summit venue using a disguised medical evacuation truck. Cataleya hides on a nearby rooftop, watching the convoy with intense focus. She uses a grappling line to swing onto the back of the truck as it enters a tunnel. Inside the dimly lit tunnel, she cuts open the truck's outer layer and slips into the cargo section. The device sits secured in a reinforced metal cradle. Cataleya sets her disabling charge to remote detonation mode and attaches a second tracker. Suddenly, the convoy halts, and the truck doors swing open. Two shadow guards spot her and attack. A brutal fight erupts inside the moving truck. Cataleya uses the crate bars to her advantage, flipping between them and striking with precision. She neutralizes both guards but sustains a deep cut across her shoulder. As the truck emerges from the tunnel, Cataleya escapes through the roof hatch and rolls onto a nearby rooftop, clutching her injured shoulder. She watches the convoy continue toward the summit. Despite her injury, she pushes forward, navigating rooftops with gritted teeth. She reaches a vantage point overlooking the summit dome. Through her binoculars, she sees Raoul entering the building disguised as a senior technician. Valeria's elite operatives spread across the area, preparing for the final stage of the attack. Cataleya contacts Leon through a secure channel, informing him of the biochemical threat. Leon promises to alert authorities without exposing her identity. Cataleya prepares her weapons, tightens her gloves despite the pain, and whispers, "This ends tonight." She begins moving toward the dome's rooftop, ready for the final confrontation. The explosion inside the summit complex sends shockwaves through the building. Glass panels crack, alarms blast, and security forces scramble in every direction. Cataleya looks toward the smoke rising from the western wing. Valeria Cortez has activated a secondary biochemical dispersal device hidden in the ventilation ducts. Raoul smiles weakly from the floor and whispers, "You stopped my plan, but Valeria has her own." Cataleya feels rage boil inside her. She cannot waste another second. She leaves Rohirrim restrained with steel wiring and begins racing across the rooftop toward the western duct tower. Below her, crowds panic as evacuation orders echo through the dome. Cataleya knows she must reach the backup device before it deploys its toxic payload. Her injured shoulder throbs, but she refuses to slow down. Every heartbeat could mean hundreds of lives. Cataleya climbs into the ventilation system through a maintenance hatch. The narrow metal tunnel vibrates from the earlier explosion, and hot air blasts through the ducts. She crawls quickly, using her elbows to pull herself forward despite the pain in her arm. After several meters, she reaches a control junction where the duct splits into multiple channels. A blinking red indicator warns that the backup device is armed and nearing release mode. Cataleya traces the airflow direction and chooses the left channel, using her knife to pry open the grate. Inside, she finds small dispersal capsules already humming with toxic energy. She carefully removes each capsule and disables it with her tools. But one capsule is missing. Someone already took it deeper inside the ventilation maze. Cataleya moves faster, determined to stop the remaining device before it activates. As Cataleya reaches the next ventilation chamber, she hears faint footsteps above. She climbs through a vertical shaft and emerges into a service corridor filled with smoke. A lone Shadow Guard operative carries a briefcase, the final biochemical capsule. Cataleya ambushes him from behind, tackling him to the ground. The guard fights like a trained killer, delivering powerful strikes. Cataleya blocks his punches and uses her agility to outmaneuver him. She kicks the briefcase away and pins him against a wall. The guard hisses, "You're too late." Valeria is waiting at the helipad. The dispersal will happen in the air. Before he can say more, Cataleya incapacitates him. She grabs the briefcase and opens it, revealing the last toxic capsule pulsing with blue light. Cataleya disables it with trembling hands. The threat inside the summit is now neutralized. But Valeria is escaping. Cataleya sprints toward the rooftop helipad. As she bursts through the exit door, she sees Valeria Cortez boarding a helicopter. Two elite guards fire at Cataleya, forcing her to take cover behind metal crates. The helicopter blades slice the air violently as Valeria shouts orders to retreat. Cataleya rolls out from cover and fires precise shots, eliminating both guards. Valeria sees her and snarls, "You ruined everything." She activates a remote detonator, triggering explosions across the dome that collapse parts of the structure. Cataleya loses her balance briefly but regains control. She fires at the helicopter rotor, damaging it. The helicopter lifts off shakily, rising above the rooftop. Cataleya runs forward and leaps, grabbing onto the helicopter's landing skids. The wind whips around her as she clings on with every ounce of strength. Valeria screams for her pilot to shake Cataleya off. Hanging from the helicopter skids, Cataleya pulls herself upward despite the roaring wind and her aching shoulder. Bullets fly past her as Valeria fires a handgun from inside the cabin. Cataleya climbs rapidly and kicks the cabin door open, sending Valeria stumbling backward. The two women clash violently inside the confined space. Valeria fights with ferocity, using a combat knife and the tight quarters to her advantage. Cataleya blocks the blade and counters with powerful strikes. The pilot panics and loses control, causing the helicopter to tilt dangerously. The city below spins as the helicopter spirals over the shoreline. Cataleya wrestles for control of Valeria's knife, finally twisting it free and pinning Valeria against the wall. The helicopter shakes violently. If Cataleya doesn't end this fight soon, both of them will crash into the sea below. The helicopter begins spinning out of control as Cataleya and Valeria continue their brutal struggle. Wind slashes through the broken cabin door and the sea below flashes like silver knives. Valeria grabs Cataleya by the hair and slams her against the metal frame. Cataleya grunts in pain but counters with an elbow strike to Valeria's jaw. The pilot yells that they are losing altitude. Valeria, clawing for survival, pushes Cataleya toward the open door, shouting, "You should have stayed dead." Cataleya braces her foot against the frame, blocks Valeria's blade, and twists her wrist. The knife clatters to the floor. Cataleya then headbutts Valeria, sending her stumbling back. She reaches for the helicopter controls, trying to stabilize it long enough to finish the fight. The city lights blur as the aircraft spirals lower. Cataleya knows she has seconds to act. With one powerful kick, Valeria launches herself at Cataleya again. The two slam into the pilot, causing the helicopter to tilt dangerously toward the ocean. Alarms scream inside the cockpit. Cataleya grabs onto a seatbelt strap to keep herself from falling out of the cabin. Valeria pulls a hidden blade from her boot and slashes toward Cataleya's face. Cataleya leans back just in time, the blade grazing her cheek. She grabs Valeria's wrist, twisting the blade away, and punches her hard across the jaw. The impact sends Valeria crashing into the instrument panel, sparking electrical bursts. The helicopter drops lower, skimming dangerously close to the water. The pilot screams that they must land. With the ocean rising to meet them, Cataleya makes a split-second decision: end the fight now or die trying. Cataleya lunges forward, grabbing Valeria by the neck and slamming her against the helicopter wall. Valeria claws and fights wildly, refusing to surrender. The aircraft jerks violently as the pilot desperately searches for a place to crash land. Waves splash against the landing skids as the helicopter dips lower. Cataleya pins Valeria's arm, twists it behind her back, and forces her onto the floor. Valeria screams in rage, spitting venomous threats: "Everything we built will rise again. Mantis will finish what I started." Cataleya tightens her grip and whispers coldly, "Not if I end it now." Valeria reaches for the emergency lever, attempting to throw Cataleya off balance. Cataleya blocks her hand and delivers a final knockout blow to Valeria's temple, rendering her unconscious. The helicopter continues spiraling downward. Cataleya runs to the cockpit. The pilot has already bailed out. The helicopter plunges toward the water with Cataleya alone inside. She grabs the control stick and pulls with all her strength, trying to level the aircraft. The rotor blades shudder violently, barely keeping the machine airborne. Cataleya sees a stretch of shallow water ahead, her only chance. She braces herself, yanks the controls upward, and crashes the helicopter along the shoreline in a skidding explosion of sparks and metal. The impact throws Cataleya across the cabin. Water surges inside as the helicopter sinks slowly. Dazed but alive, she unbuckles herself, grabs her knife, and kicks the cracked door open. She drags Valeria's unconscious body out before the helicopter fully submerges. On the beach, emergency sirens echo from the city. Cataleya looks at the burning wreckage and knows the world narrowly escaped catastrophe. Cataleya secures Valeria on the sand and checks her pulse, alive but severely injured. Moments later, local authorities and military forces swarm the shoreline. Helicopters circle overhead, shining lights across the scene. Cataleya disappears into the shadows before anyone can identify her. From a distance, she watches as special forces take Valeria Cortez into custody. For the first time, the cartel faces a true collapse. Cataleya moves into an alleyway and bandages her wounded shoulder with strips of fabric torn from her clothing. She retrieves a secure phone and sends a single coded message to Leon: "Package delivered. Primary target neutralized." Leon replies, "Good work." But Mantis escaped. Cataleya stares at the phone, her expression hardening. She knows Raoul will not stop until he gets what he wants. This war is not over, only paused. Cataleya slips out of Monaco through the narrow backstreets, avoiding the police sweep now covering the entire shoreline. Her body aches from the helicopter crash, but she keeps moving with silent determination. She reaches a hidden safe house beneath an old fishing dock, an emergency location she prepared years ago. Inside, she washes her wounds, changes into dry clothes, and studies a digital map. Raoul, now fully identified as Mantis, has vanished from Monaco. His encrypted messages suggest he is heading toward Berlin, the headquarters of an elite intelligence task force. If Raoul reaches Berlin, he could infiltrate their systems and expose thousands of undercover agents to criminal networks. Cataleya cannot allow that. She packs her weapons, reloads her ammunition, and prepares to chase him once again. She whispers to herself, "I ended Valeria, now it's your turn, Raoul." Cataleya arrives in Berlin by train, blending in with late-night travelers. She rents a small room inside an industrial district, a perfect vantage point over several tech companies and intelligence offices. Berlin is full of surveillance cameras, meaning Cataleya must move with extreme caution. She studies Rohrl's known tactics. He prefers infiltrating through maintenance shafts, underground utility lines, or digital backdoors in security systems. Cataleya uses a portable hacking device to intercept citywide communications. Soon, she captures a coded message indicating Rohrl is planning to breach the European intelligence grid, a system controlling multiple agencies' encrypted data. If he succeeds, he will gain access to classified identities, allowing global criminal networks to eliminate their enemies easily. Cataleya straps on her tactical gear and prepares for a long night. She knows Rohrl will not make mistakes this time. Cataleya infiltrates the intelligence grid facility by posing as a night shift technician, wearing a stolen uniform and forged ID. Inside, she moves past guards and security bots with practiced calm. She descends into the server core levels, where thousands of encrypted drives spin inside reinforced vaults. The air hums with electricity. Suddenly, she hears footsteps. She hides behind a cooling unit as two engineers discuss a strange glitch in the main firewall. Cataleya realizes the glitch is Rohrl's doing. He has already penetrated the first layer of the system. She races deeper into the complex, passing biometric scanners and laser grids. In a dark corridor, she discovers a hacked access panel emitting blue sparks. Rohrl has tunneled into the grid from beneath the floor, using cables and a portable quantum decryptor. Cataleya readies her knife. She is close. Cataleya slips into the lower maintenance tunnels beneath the intelligence grid. The tunnels are dimly lit, filled with cables, steam pipes, and humming machinery. She moves quietly, listening for movement. After turning a corner, she finds a technician lying unconscious, Rohrl's handiwork. Cataleya kneels beside him and confirms he is alive but drugged. She continues forward until she sees a faint light. Rohrl stands in the center of a massive chamber, attaching a device to the central server column. He works with absolute calm, his eyes fixed on the task like a surgeon performing delicate surgery. Cataleya steps out of the shadows and says, "It's over, Rohrl." Without turning, Rohrl replies, "No, it's just beginning. You can't stop the truth from spreading." The machine beeps. He has only minutes before the upload completes. Cataleya prepares to strike. Rohrl slowly turns toward Cataleya, a faint smirk on his face. He holds a compact detonator and warns, "One move, and I erase the entire grid." Cataleya circles him carefully, her knife held low, her breath steady. The chamber glows with blue light as the upload progresses. Rohrl speaks with eerie calmness, telling her he joined a secret order that believes the world's governments must collapse to create a new order. Cataleya shakes her head. "You became the kind of monster we fought against." Rohrl responds, "I became what the world needed." In a split-second decision, Cataleya throws her knife. Rohrl dodges, and the blade lodges in the server console. Sparks fly. Rohrl activates the detonator, but nothing happens. Cataleya smiles. She had disabled the trigger earlier during her infiltration. Rohrl's expression darkens. The real fight is about to begin. The underground chamber fills with thick smoke from the explosion. Cataleya coughs as she crawls across the floor, searching for Rohrl through the haze. Flames crackle along the server racks, and emergency lights pulse red, painting the room like a battlefield. Rohrl slowly rises from the wreckage, his clothes torn, his face burned, but his eyes still burning with fury. He stumbles forward, yelling, "You destroyed everything I built." Cataleya grips a metal pipe to support herself as she struggles to stand. Her ribs ache, her wounds throb, but she refuses to fall. She replies, "You built nothing. You only spread death." Rohrl grabs a broken steel rod and charges at her. Cataleya dodges the first two swings, but the third grazes her arm. She retaliates with a punch that knocks Rohrl back into the sparking wall. Their final confrontation has begun, brutal, raw, and personal. Rohrl roars and attacks Cataleya with ferocious strength. He swings the steel rod at her head, but she ducks and counters with a kick to his knee. Rohrl staggers but quickly retaliates by grabbing her shoulder wound, twisting it cruelly. Cataleya screams in pain. He laughs weakly, whispering, "You should have joined me. We could have been unstoppable." Cataleya bites down, endures the pain, and elbows him in the face, breaking his nose. Blood pours down his chin. The impact enrages Rohirrim further. He slams her onto the metal grid floor, knocking the breath out of her. As he moves to strike again, Cataleya rolls away, grabs a loose cable, and whips it across his face. The electric jolt barely phases him now. He steps closer, saying, "I taught you everything you know, but I kept one lesson for myself." Cataleya prepares her stance, refusing to back down. Rohirrim reveals a hidden blade from his boot and lunges at Cataleya with deadly precision. She blocks using a broken vent panel and counters with a sweeping leg kick that sends Rohirrim crashing into a cabinet. The blade slips from his hand. Cataleya charges, slamming him against the burning console. Sparks burst around them. Rohirrim grabs her wrist and twists, forcing her to drop the vent panel. They grapple violently, each trying to gain leverage over the other. Rohirrim punches her repeatedly, hitting her ribs and stomach. Cataleya's vision blurs, but she notices a loose metal beam above them. Using the last of her strength, she swings her body sideways, pulling Rohirrim with her, causing the beam to shift. The heavy beam falls onto Rohirrim's back, trapping him partially. He screams in agony, pinned but still fighting to break free. Cataleya stands over him, panting heavily. Rohirrim struggles beneath the fallen beam, reaching desperately for the hidden blade lying inches away. Cataleya steps on his hand, stopping him. He gasps and snarls, "If you kill me, nothing changes. The world is already burning." Cataleya kneels beside him and forces him to look at the ruined chamber. Sparks, smoke, and shattered servers surround them. She replies, "Maybe. But this stops with you." Rohirrim tries to lift the beam again, but his injuries are too severe. His strength fades. He looks at Cataleya with a mixture of hatred and twisted admiration. "We could have ruled everything," he whispers. Cataleya shakes her head. "I didn't survive all this to become you." Rohirrim closes his eyes, defeated. Cataleya rises to her feet, retrieving his hidden blade. She considers ending him but hesitates, because ending him would make her no different from the monsters she fights. Cataleya ultimately drops the blade, choosing not to kill Rohirrim in cold blood. She turns away and begins climbing out of the ravaged chamber. Behind her, Rohirrim screams in rage, unable to accept defeat. As she reaches the exit ladder, an explosion deep within the server core shakes the entire facility. Cataleya climbs rapidly, flames rising below her. She emerges into a maintenance hallway as emergency doors begin sealing. She jumps through the final door just before it locks, trapping Rohirrim inside the burning chamber. Panting heavily, she collapses against the wall. Sirens blare from every direction as security forces rush deeper into the facility. Cataleya wipes blood from her face, stands up slowly, and disappears into a ventilation duct before authorities arrive. Despite her injuries, she keeps moving. The world may never know what she prevented, but she knows her war is almost over. Rohirrim lunges toward Cataleya with furious speed, knocking her backward into a steel pillar. The underground chamber echoes with the clash of metal and footsteps. Cataleya rolls aside as Rohirrim swings a heavy tool like a weapon. Sparks fly when the tool hits the metal wall. Cataleya counters with a swift kick that sends the tool flying across the room. Rohirrim rushes her again, pinning her arm against the server rack. Cataleya grits her teeth, feeling her muscles strain under the pressure. With a sudden twist, she breaks free and shoves Rohirrim into a bundle of cables. Electricity crackles around him, but he pushes off the cables, barely fazed. He laughs darkly, saying, "You're fighting the wrong enemy, Cataleya. The world is already collapsing." Cataleya responds with a punch to his ribs, forcing him back. The upload timer continues counting down behind them. The fight intensifies as Rohirrim and Cataleya strike each other with precision honed from years of shared training. Rohirrim uses quick, brutal attacks designed to overwhelm, while Cataleya relies on agility and accuracy. Rohirrim grabs her by the throat and slams her into the server column. She gasps for air, clawing at his arm. With a desperate move, she knee strikes him in the stomach, forcing him to release her. Cataleya staggers but quickly regains balance. Rohirrim attempts to reach the upload console, but she tackles him to the ground. They roll across the metal floor, exchanging blows. Rohirrim's knuckles cut her cheek, drawing blood. Cataleya delivers a sharp elbow strike to his jaw. He snarls, "You never knew how to let go." She glares back, replying, "And you never knew when to stop." Both get to their feet, breathing heavily, ready for the next round. Cataleya notices the upload progress flashing at 92%. She has only moments left. Rohirrim charges, trying to shield the console. Cataleya sidesteps and kicks him into a stack of coolant canisters. One canister bursts, releasing freezing vapor. Rohirrim slips, giving Cataleya an opening. She grabs a fallen metal rod and swings it at him. Rohirrim blocks the strike, grabs the rod, and snaps it in half with raw strength. He throws the broken piece at Cataleya, slicing her shoulder. Blood trickles down her arm, but she refuses to slow. She sprints toward the console, intending to rip out the uplink, but Rohirrim tackles her mid-stride. They crash into the floor hard. Rohirrim pins her with his knees and tries to choke her again. Cataleya's vision blurs, but she reaches for a shattered circuit board nearby. She jams it into Rohirrim's arm, shocking him with a burst of electricity. Rohirrim recoils, screaming as electricity surges through his arm. Cataleya pushes him off and crawls toward the console. The upload now reads 96%. Rohirrim staggers to his feet, shaking off the shock. He grabs Cataleya's leg and drags her back, slamming her onto the floor. Cataleya flips onto her back and kicks Rohirrim square in the chest, sending him crashing into a metal railing. She pulls herself up and grabs a heavy wrench lying nearby. Rohirrim approaches again, but she swings the wrench with full force, striking him in the shoulder. He groans in pain but retaliates by punching her ribs. Both fighters are battered, bruised, and exhausted. Cataleya glances at the console, 98%. She knows the only way to stop the upload is to destroy the main column completely. She tightens her grip on the wrench, prepared for the final strike. Cataleya charges toward the console with the wrench raised high. Rohirrim lunges at her, screaming, "Eno!" She swings the wrench down with every ounce of strength left in her body. The impact cracks the server column, causing sparks to explode outward. The lights flicker violently. Rohirrim tackles her, but it's too late. The console begins to short-circuit. Cataleya kicks him off, grabs a live wire, and slams it into the broken column. A surge of electricity erupts, frying the entire upload system. Flames burst from the central core, and alarms blare through the chamber. Rohirrim roars in anger as the upload collapses at 99%. He charges one last time, but Cataleya sidesteps and uses his momentum to throw him into the burning console. The explosion throws both of them to the ground. Smoke fills the room as the intelligence grid goes offline. Rohirrim's plan is destroyed. Cataleya crawls through the ventilation ducts of the intelligence grid facility, her body shaking with exhaustion. Her wounds sting with every movement, but she forces herself forward. Once she reaches an exterior maintenance hatch, she kicks it open and emerges onto a rooftop overlooking Berlin's skyline. Cold night air fills her lungs as she steadies herself. Sirens echo across the city, bright blue and red lights flashing below. Cataleya watches emergency vehicles swarm the facility she just escaped. She knows that if the authorities find her, she will be treated as a suspect, not a hero. Keeping to the shadows, she slips across adjacent rooftops and disappears into the industrial district. She needs to recover, regroup, and decide what comes next. Rohirrim is defeated, Valeria is captured, but the mysterious network behind them may still be operating. Cataleya finds shelter in an abandoned auto garage hidden between two factories. She uses old gasoline and torn cloth to clean her wounds before stitching them carefully. Her hands tremble, not just from pain but from the emotional weight of everything that happened. She thinks about her old life in Colombia, her family, and the vow she made to avenge them. She wonders if she has become consumed by the violence she once used as justice. As she bandages her injuries, her encrypted phone buzzes. It's a coded message from Leon, reading only, "Berlin secure. Global threat neutralized. Stand by for updates." Cataleya stares at the message in silence. For the first time in years, she feels the possibility of a future not built on revenge or chaos. But part of her knows peace will never come easily. After resting for a few hours, Cataleya steps outside the garage and watches dawn break over Berlin. The rising sun casts long shadows across the empty streets. She senses someone approaching and quickly reaches for her weapon, but stops when she recognizes the silhouette. Leon emerges from the fog wearing a long coat, carrying documents. He approaches with a tired smile. "You did it, Cataleya," he says. "You stopped something the world will never know about." Cataleya replies quietly, "Raoul's network. Is it gone?" Leon hesitates. "Damaged, but not gone. There are still others in the organization. Higher-ups. Financiers. Ghosts who hide behind governments." Cataleya nods slowly. Her instincts return immediately. A war of shadows never truly ends. But Leon places a hand on her shoulder and adds, "For now, you deserve rest." She allows herself a rare moment of calm. Leon hands Cataleya a file containing snapshots, names, and encrypted codes related to the remnants of the cartel network. "These are the last pieces Valeria and Raoul were connected to," he explains. Cataleya flips through the pages, her expression darkening. The file includes blueprints for underground facilities, offshore bank accounts, and a list of corrupt officials tied to the global trafficking network. Leon tells her that international authorities will be moving in on these targets soon. Cataleya looks at him and asks, "What do you want me to do?" Leon responds, "Nothing. This is no longer your burden. Let the world handle its own monsters." Cataleya lowers the file. She appreciates his sentiment, but deep inside, she knows that no one is as capable as she is. If she walks away, innocent people may pay the price. As Cataleya prepares to leave the auto garage, Leon stops her and says, "There's something else you should know." He hands her a sealed envelope marked with a crest from an unknown intelligence faction. Cataleya opens it and finds a photograph of a remote island, along with a single cryptic message, "The orchid blooms again." Her eyes narrow. This means that despite Valeria's capture and Raoul's defeat, someone else in the organization is rising to take control. Cataleya clenches the photo in her hand. Leon warns her, "Be careful. Whoever sent this knows you're still alive." Cataleya nods with hardened resolve. She steps out into the morning sunlight, her silhouette sharp against the horizon. She whispers to herself, "If the orchid rises again, then so will I." With steady steps, she disappears into the city, ready for whatever comes next. Cataleya walks through the outskirts of Berlin, heading toward an old railway yard where she can vanish without leaving a trace. She studies the photograph of the island sent by the unknown faction. The image shows a tropical landscape with a heavily fortified structure hidden amongst cliffs. The message "The orchid blooms again" keeps echoing in her mind. It means the cartel has a deeper root, much older and more powerful than Valeria or Raoul. Cataleya stops near the tracks and burns the envelope, letting the ashes scatter in the wind. She knows the sender wants her attention, and they have succeeded. As the morning sun rises higher, she boards a freight train headed south. She blends into the shadows of a cargo compartment, preparing for her next move. Her war is not over yet, but this time she chooses the battlefield. During the long train ride, Cataleya examines the remaining files Leon provided. She discovers a symbol on one of the documents that matches the crest on the envelope. It belongs to a secret international consortium believed to fund covert operations worldwide. The group is known only as the Root. They hide beneath legitimate corporations, political movements, and humanitarian organizations. The Root appears to be the true architect behind the Black Orchid cartel. Cataleya connects the dots. Valeria, Raoul, and other operatives were only branches of a much larger structure. She realizes the island in the photograph could be the Root's central stronghold. As the train speeds across Europe, she sharpens her knife and reloads her concealed pistol. She whispers, "Time to cut the real stem." The camera shows her determined eyes as the train thunders forward. Cataleya arrives in Italy and moves through coastal villages, eventually reaching a small port town. She bribes a fisherman to take her to a remote drop point near the Mediterranean Sea. As they sail across the water, the fisherman nervously tells her that several armed vessels have been patrolling the area recently. Cataleya keeps her face hidden and asks no further questions. Once they reach a secluded rock formation, she thanks him and dives into the sea with her gear. Underwater, Cataleya moves gracefully through the deep blue, approaching a hidden cave entrance that matches part of the island photograph. She emerges inside a cavern illuminated by faint artificial lights. The cave leads to a private dock filled with advanced boats and submarines. She realizes immediately, this cave belongs to the Root. Her instincts sharpen. A new mission has begun. Cataleya stealthily explores the underground dock. She hides behind stacked cargo crates, analyzing the number of guards and the layout. The facility is far more advanced than anything Valeria or Raoul ever possessed. Security drones hover above the walkways. Guards armed with high-tech rifles monitor every corner. Cataleya overhears two operatives discussing a shipment scheduled to reach the island's main lab. The mention of a main lab chills her. It means the cartel may be researching something far worse than biochemical weapons. She watches as a lift platform rises, revealing a tunnel that leads deeper into the island. Cataleya slips through the shadows and boards the lift just before it ascends. The platform carries her into a vast technological complex carved into the rock. Screens, labs, and command centers stretch across multiple levels. Cataleya realizes she has discovered the core of the Root. Inside the underground complex, Cataleya moves swiftly but silently, taking down isolated guards with precision. She steals an access badge and uses it to enter a surveillance room. There, she sees live feeds of multiple global cities: New York, London, Tokyo, Cape Town, each marked with red threat indicators. The Root is clearly planning something massive, a world-changing operation. Suddenly, a voice echoes behind her. "I was expecting you." Cataleya whirls around, weapon ready, but the figure standing there is not an enemy, it's Leon. His presence shocks her. Leon explains that he has been working undercover within the Root for years. He had hoped to dismantle them quietly, but Valeria and Raoul's actions forced the organization into a more aggressive stance. Cataleya steps back, confused and angry. "You knew about this?" she asks. Leon lowers his head. "I tried to protect you, but this goes deeper than you think." Cataleya stares at Leon in disbelief, unable to process the fact that he is standing inside the heart of the Root. Her mind races through every memory they shared, every warning he gave, every coded message, every moment of trust. Leon raises his hand slowly, signaling he means no harm. "Cataleya, listen to me," he says softly. "I infiltrated the Root years ago. I fed them false intel, delayed their operations, sabotaged their networks from within. But when Valeria and Raoul accelerated their plans, the organization shifted its leadership. I lost control." Cataleya steps forward angrily. "You knew everything, and you let me walk blindly into their war." Leon replies with painful honesty, "If I told you the truth, you would have gone after them alone. And you would have been killed." Cataleya clenches her fists. She doesn't know whether to trust him or consider him part of the enemy. Medium white star chunk 77, minute 76 to 77. Leon gestures to one of the surveillance screens showing global threat markers blinking rapidly. The Root is preparing an operation called Project Eclipse. It targets critical infrastructures around the world simultaneously. If activated, nations will fall into chaos. Cataleya scans the data feeds, satellite positions, orbital timing, encrypted launch protocols. This is more advanced than anything she has faced before. Leon pulls up a file showing a detailed layout of the island facility. "There is one way to stop them," he explains. "A central command core deep inside the cliff. Destroy it, and their global network collapses." Cataleya asks coldly, "Why don't you do it?" Leon sighs. "Because I'm already burned. If I move, they'll know. But you're the only one they never anticipated." Cataleya takes a breath, processing the weight of the mission. The stakes are higher than ever. Medium white star chunk 78, minute 77 to 78. Cataleya decides to infiltrate the central command core. She grabs a high-voltage charge from the equipment rack and prepares her weapons. Leon warns her that the core is protected by elite operatives known as the Inner Circle, soldiers trained since childhood, loyal only to the root. As Cataleya heads toward the extraction tunnel, Leon stops her and hands her a small device. This will temporarily disable the facility's sensors for 90 seconds, he says. Use it wisely. Cataleya nods and heads into a narrow metallic corridor leading downward. The deeper she goes, the colder the air becomes. The hum of massive servers resonates through the walls. When she reaches the main access chamber, she activates Leon's device. Alarms briefly glitch, and then fall silent. Cataleya slips inside just as the Inner Circle guards begin their patrol. The final battle is moments away. Medium White Star Chunk 79, Minute 78 to 79. Inside the command core, towering data pillars glow with pulsing red lights. Screens display real-time global operations, cyber attacks, political interference, energy grid manipulation. The route is seconds from launching Project Eclipse. Cataleya moves swiftly between the pillars, staying out of sight. Suddenly, an Inner Circle operative spots her and raises his weapon. Cataleya dives behind cover as bullets tear through the air. She counters with a precise shot, dropping the guard instantly. Two more operatives rush in, attacking with knives and shock batons. Cataleya fights fiercely, using her agility and environment to her advantage. She slams one operative into a server stack and kicks the other into an electrical conduit. With the path cleared, she places the high-voltage charge at the base of the main control column. As she sets the timer, a cold, familiar voice echoes behind her. "I knew you couldn't resist." Cataleya turns, Leon is pointing a gun at her. Medium White Star Chunk 80, Minute 79 to 80 final. Cataleya freezes as Leon steps forward, weapon steady. He reveals the truth with chilling clarity. "I didn't infiltrate the route, Cataleya. I helped build it. I recruited Valeria. I trained Raoul. Everything you fought led back to me." Cataleya's eyes widen with betrayal. Leon continues, "I admired your ruthlessness, your precision. You were meant to lead the new world. But you chose morality, weakness." Cataleya glances subtly toward the charge timer, 20 seconds left. Leon smirks. "You can't stop Project Eclipse." Cataleya slowly raises her hands and asks, "Then why talk? Why not shoot?" Leon hesitates, just a fraction. "It's enough." Cataleya grabs a loose steel shard from the ground and throws it, striking Leon's wrist. His gun fires into the ceiling. Cataleya leaps forward, kicks him backward, and slams him into the data pillar. The charge detonates. A massive explosion engulfs the core. Cataleya dives into a maintenance shaft as the entire facility collapses. Flames chase her through the tunnel, but she escapes into the open night, collapsing on the rocky shoreline as the island burns behind her. Exhausted but alive, she watches the route crumble. The world will never know her name. But in the shadows, Cataleya walks away, ready for whatever war comes next. Subscribe, like, thanks for watching my channel guys. Keep supporting, follow. This is my new channel.